everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Black Liberation Tech podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Renée Jordan, and today we are going to pick up where we left off with the AI for Student Success Homework Help Lab. Okay, so we're getting closer. Meet the Homework Help Lab scholars. So this is the background or the backdrop for this workbook. If you've seen my other workbook, which is called Thriving Through Challenges, then you'll understand that I like to provide stories in order to create context for the workbook so that you can find yourself there. Maybe you relate, maybe you don't. Perhaps it's just something cool to read and think about as you work through the workbook. So let's take a look. Every Tuesday afternoon, the Multimedia Learning Lab at the Neighborhood Community Center comes alive. Some students arrive carrying backpacks filled with notebooks and textbooks. Others bring sketchbooks, science folders, library books, or questions they have been thinking about all week. Each student brings unique strengths, experiences, interests, and ways of learning to the homework help community. Some students enjoy reading quietly before asking questions. Others understand new ideas by connecting them to experiences they already have. Many express their thinking through colorful study guides, while others build confidence through purposeful practice. Still, others enjoy writing, and some are discovering the excitement of research. Every learner contributes unique strengths to the community. The Homework Help Lab isn't about finding quick answers. It's a place where students discover the strengths they already bring to learning while developing new strategies for asking thoughtful questions, making meaningful connections, organizing ideas, practicing with purpose, reflecting on their thinking, and growing as confident, independent learners. Their teachers, families, and mentors remind them that while artificial intelligence can be a valuable thinking partner, their curiosity, judgment, creativity, lived experiences, cultural knowledge, and perseverance will always belong to them. As you move through this workbook, you'll meet each of these scholars. Their stories may be different, but together they show that there is no single path to learning. Every thoughtful question, meaningful connection, every organized idea, every practice session, and every moment of reflection helps them recognize the strengths they already possess while continuing to grow as learners. By the end of their journey, you'll discover that they weren't learning alone, they were growing together. All right. And here we have the image again from the cover, and I won't read it again, but we do have a story. So let's take a look at the cover story. Nevaeh, discovering a thinking partner. The Homework Help Lab was quieter than Nevaeh expected. Instead of rows of students staring silently at computer screens, she found small groups talking through ideas, comparing notes, and helping one another solve problems. Shelves filled with books lined the wall, while colorful sticky notes, science models, and student projects brightened the room. A few students typed on laptops, others sketched diagrams in notebooks, and one pair laughed as they compared two different ways of solving the same math problem. Nevaeh had come because she wanted to build on her strengths and discover new ways to learn with confidence. She wasn't looking for someone to give her the answers. She wanted to understand how to learn more effectively. As she settled into her seat, one of the mentors smiled and explained that artificial intelligence could be a helpful study partner. It could help organize ideas, connect new learning to what students already knew, suggest practice questions, explain concepts from different perspectives, and support thoughtful learning. But it could not replace curiosity, thoughtful decision making, or the satisfaction of figuring out something through persistence. Nevaeh looked around the room again. Everyone seemed to be using different tools, asking different questions, and learning in different ways. Maybe every learner already had strengths. The real challenge was discovering which strategies helped each person build on them and continue growing. Maybe it was about discovering which strategies helped her grow. With her notebook open, a question in mind, and growing confidence in the strengths she already possessed, Nevaeh took a deep breath. Her learning journey was about to begin. Question to think about. When you need help learning something new, what do you usually do first? How might AI support your learning without doing the thinking for you? All right, so we have arrived at Module 1, and here we have a picture of Rosario. And Module 1 says, help me understand what I read. Sometimes the hardest part of learning happens before writing. If you do not understand the reading, everything else becomes harder. And she has a few post-it notes on her wall, and it reads, don't just read it, understand it. Clarity comes before confidence. AI is your reading coach, not your replacement. And then on the right-hand side of the image, we have another list of phrases and terms to think about. AI as a reading coach. AI can help you explain difficult passages, clarify vocabulary, compare theories, generate chapter outlines, create study questions, build concept maps, connect ideas across chapters. She has a spiral notebook as well. It is open and it says reading goals, understand, take notes, connect ideas, ask questions. Key concepts, main idea, evidence, connections. I'm getting it. Along the bottom of the image, we have read with purpose, think with curiosity, learn with AI. Okay. And then she has a few books stacked and it says critical thinking, research strategies, you got this. She also has a mug and it says curious, focused, capable. And her laptop screen is open and it says AI reading coach. Here's a simple explanation of the passage you're reading. Key idea, the author is explaining, dot, dot, dot. Okay, so let's give Module 1 a read. Module 1, Rosario. Learning to read with questions. When Rosario arrived at the homework help lab the following week, she found Nevaeh reading quietly at one of the tables. A few other students were already working together, highlighting notes, comparing homework assignments, and talking through ideas they were still exploring together after class. Rosario smiled as she sat down with a science article her teacher had assigned. She read every word carefully from beginning to end. When she finished, she realized she could explain many of the vocabulary words, but she wanted to understand how the big ideas connected. I think I understand parts of it. I just want to understand it more deeply, she whispered. One of the mentors noticed her thoughtful expression and pulled up a chair. Reading isn't just about finishing the words on the page, the mentor explained. Strong readers stop, ask questions, make connections, and build understanding as they read. Rosario looked back at the article with fresh eyes. Instead of trying to memorize every sentence, she began writing questions in the margins. What does this word mean? Why is this important? How does this idea connect to what I already know? What do I already know that can help me understand this? When she reached a section she wanted to understand more deeply, the mentor suggested using AI as a reading coach, not to replace the reading, but to help her connect new ideas with what she already knew. For the first time, Rosario realized that thoughtful questions were evidence that she was actively learning. Strong readers didn't ask fewer questions, they asked better ones. It was something good readers did every day. The next step in Rosario's journey begins with a question. Question to think about. Have you ever finished reading a passage and realized there was even more to discover? What questions could help you connect ideas with what you already know? What kinds of questions could you ask on your own or with the help of AI to deepen your understanding instead of simply rereading the same words? Mentor insight. Every thoughtful question is a step toward deeper understanding. Okay, so here is the part where we get into module one. Help me understand what I read. Sometimes the hardest part of learning happens before writing. If you don't understand the reading, everything else becomes harder. AI as a reading coach. AI can help you explain difficult passages, clarify vocabulary, compare theories, generate chapter outlines, create study questions, build concept maps, connect ideas across chapters. Okay, so we have a prompt, but we have an important note that we should consider before we do the prompt. Okay, so this says important note before using this prompt. If you copy a reading passage or assignment into an AI platform, make sure you have permission to share it. Avoid including personal information, student records, or materials your teacher has asked you not to share. When possible, use short excerpts or summarize the part you need help understanding instead of copying an entire chapter. Remember, AI should help you understand what you read, not replace your own reading. So here is the prompt. Hi, I'm taking, insert the name of the course. I am currently learning about, insert the topic, chapter title, theory, process, or person. Here is a passage, section, or concept I am trying to understand. So this is where you paste in the content. And that can include your notes. Now, you may not be able to copy and paste your textbook, whether it is a digital textbook or a hardback or hard copy of a textbook, but you can, in your own words, summarize what you do understand or enter in like the title and the headings from the chapter that you're digging deeper in. That can provide the AI tool with enough context to help you understand the material. So you paste in the content. Please help me understand this material. Do not simply summarize it. Instead, explain it using age appropriate language, identify important vocabulary, define key terms, explain why the concept matters, connect it to ideas I may already know, create 5 questions that help me check my understanding. I am responsible for learning this material myself. Your role is to be my tutor, not my replacement. Okay, so that is very important. What we're going to do, we're going to push pause here. And next week, we will come back. With all of that being said, thank you for listening to another episode of the Black Liberation Tech podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Renée Jordan. Please feel free to like, subscribe, and share, rate, and review the podcast to help it become more discoverable. And until next time, take care. Bye bye.